Welcome to the beautiful city of Athens, the gateway to the Tennessee Valley, a city rooted in deep community relationships and built on a rich tradition of small local business and the very best of the human spirit. As Athens embraces the future, the signs of progress are in full bloom. Join us as we discover the bright spots in this charming southern city that we call home. This is Hometown Heartbeat, Athens. Hooty hoo! Today is Friday, and I'm kidding. I say that every day of the week. Hopefully, just like wishful thinking, you know.
You scared me for a second.
Did I? I got to make sure I can hear you. There we go. Before we jump too far in there, it's Connor. Every time I don't do this and give Connor his airtime, he gets really upset. So I got to make sure that we get Connor on the air. Connor, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. You muted my microphone while I was saying that was a lie.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I have no comment there. And well, let's introduce everybody there in the background. We got some new people starting today. We got Davis, our intern, and then the janitor's over there next to him. We had to give him a lesson. I'm just kidding. I told him I would do that. And he was like, is it because I'm black? And I was like, no, it's not. I'm not racist. It's okay. No, look, this is a safe place here. Here at Cotton Row, we have a culturally diverse and understanding workplace where we just see people as people, and we have a great time doing it. So, look, I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. We certainly are having a day. It's I don't know, Emo, how's our day been?
Awesome.
In that case, our day has been awesome.
I've got no complaints.
No complaints here. Well, never mind. I digress. So Emo, for those of you that don't know Emo, which if you don't, it's probably because you live under a rock. But if you do indeed live under a rock and you don't know Emo was formerly of Trash Panda Glory, was the president of community relations and did all the outreach and things. And so your goal was to bring a baseball team to Madison, and you were instrumental in helping that to happen. Mm-hmm. And then the Rona said, psh, psh, psh. And our season tickets went down the drain. And but no, so that was kind of that's how I met you.
Yep.
Our relationship started there. In fact, you were on one of our very first live streams way back in the day.
I figured I did something wrong because I was never invited back.
Woo. Well, you did, but it's been so long I've forgotten. So no, I'm kidding. Connor, did you turn my air conditioner off?
I haven't touched it. Here, do you want to throw them up?
Connor, did you turn my air conditioner off?
I didn't touch it. Do you want to throw them up?
Yeah, I do. Thank you. Oh, yeah, got it. Look at that. Hands like a kiss. Daddy still got it. No, in fact, he didn't touch it. So we've confirmed he didn't touch it. I'm just hot. My wife says it's natural. So, sometimes things just happen. But anyways, no, we were that was a very different setup then, wasn't it? I would have told Connor to get the flashback to that. That would have been really good. Oh, man, that would have been, that was,
yeah.
How did we not think about that? Probably because we didn't do any preparation for this whatsoever. Nope. Walked in here 3 minutes ago and said, what are we going to talk about? Which is pretty typical. But no, we were in the office. Connor, if you'll get on Facebook, it'll be under the Revolved Realty Madison page. We were at the old office there on Marion Street. We were in the library conference room. It was as echoey as I'm talking about. It was like hello, Emo, mo. Connor, you're gonna have to go back so freaking far. If you go to videos, I doubt you'll find it. But no, it was that was a very different situation. Man, that was when we first started. And what's fun about this is that was when we first decided it was time to invest in digital marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I was not very good at it then. Not that I am now, but I'm certainly better. It was. Do you remember how bad it was?
Actually, I thought you were okay.
Oh Lord, he's like my mother. Only sees the good. Mom, if you're watching, I love you. She usually does watch. But hi, Mom. Patty's her name.
Hi, Patty.
Get Patty. He's a celebrity. That should count for something. Don't say I didn't. No, I'm kidding. Look, we were just getting on there. We were talking about anything and everything, but it was all real estate.
Yeah.
At the time, the Trash Pandas were still an idea. They were a little more than an idea. Obviously, you had been hired. It was happening, but we didn't have the first part of a stadium, did we?
No. No, we were a little more than a dream at that point, but with a lot of work still to go.
A lot.
A lot of work.
Let's pull that a little closer. There we go. No, and now there's just an empty stadium, so it's even better. So Emo his background was in like development, right? So talk me through a little bit of that.
Yeah,
I mean, what brought you? I mean, that was probably an odd question for those of you that don't know me or Emo. So Emo's background in real estate development, and that is what led to you coming to Alabama from Yankeetown, and he's assimilated for the most part. He still drinks unsweet tea, so no, I'm kidding. But so tell us a little bit about what brought you here, and kind of, you know, we'll end up where we're at now, and that'll be more fun than how we got here. But just kind of for the people that don't know, what brought you down here?
Yeah, I'm a Chicago guy. That's where my family and all my friends were, and was doing land planning and real estate development. And that's right about the time that the market got a little rocky. So 2007, 2008. And, you know, you start to look for other opportunities, and I kept throwing the net out farther and farther and farther. And after a while, I figured, screw it, let's just start all over. And if you're going to shake the Etch-a-Sketch of life, where do you want to go? And for me, the number one factor is it had to be warmer. I had enough.
For the love of God, you found that.
Yeah, that we did. I'll tell you, Chicago summers are this hot. It's the winters, which last 6 months, that get a little old. So started looking around, and the same area kept coming up. It was this North Alabama area, and I like to think I was smart enough to see all this coming way back in the day. But
that'd be a lie, though, wouldn't it?
It would be a lie. But you could see all the potential in this area. I was just a little ahead of the curve. So I was doing economic development for the city of Madison, and way back in the day, and I was talking to the then GM of the Huntsville Stars, Buck Rogers, and we were trying to lure the Stars into Madison back then. That's a little secret. It just, nothing went horribly wrong, but nothing went right. The timing wasn't right. We couldn't get the deal put together, and as we all know, the Stars went away. But once I got bit by the bug and seeing about the opportunity to bring in baseball back to North Alabama, that's when this little journey began. And been pursuing it for a while, and I got lucky, and Ralph Nelson and I kind of crossed paths, and we were off to the races, and it took start to finish about 3 years to get all this done. That's
it seems like a pretty quick little trip there, but I imagine it felt like it was a long journey along the way. Lots of hiccups, right? Lots of what's the right word for it? Kerfuffles? You like that word?
That's a good one.
I don't even know if it's a real word, but it felt right in the moment, and that's kind of how I live my life.
I still think
1/4 mile at a time.
Well, you know, and this entire region now, if I still think if you left here 15 years ago and you somehow weren't paying attention and you magically came back, you would not recognize North Alabama.
No, that's fact. Whoa, sorry about that.
And it was, but I always saw the potential and the opportunity, and especially for baseball. This is an incredible market. It just took the time to get it here. The rest of the area needed to grow up, and specifically Madison. Madison is a great community, but it needed to grow up more to be able to handle something like this.
And in grow it has.
Yes, sir, it has.
Like a weed. It's been a lot of fun to watch everything happen, and obviously I tell people the same thing. Like, I'd like to think that I knew or could act like I knew that we were going to jump into real estate at exactly the right time, but the reality is it's oftentimes always better to be lucky than good, and so we'll take it. So that leads us to kind of I guess where we've not officially made any kind of announcement, but what better time than now, and what better platform than our show, right? And so Emo reached out a while back, and just kind of we've talked from day one through, like, hey, what is the game plan for, like, we got to develop some stuff together, we got to go do some stuff, and selling hot dogs was probably not a career goal. And so once you did what you were brought in to do, it was one of those natural things where it was time to look into other opportunities. And so we just kind of been brainstorming. And it's funny how timing and all this works, right? Because, your background being the real estate side of it, like that's the land development and all that, that's one thing, right? And that's over here. But the reality of and for those of you that watch the show every day, this is where we land on most days. But the reality is, like, it's all about the people, the relationships. It's all about, like, we're all in PR. We're all in human resources. We're all, and if you're going to be in business, like, you're in the business of people. And so it's just kind of a natural next step for the guy that's out utilizing that relationship and those times to kind of take that same approach at maybe a new little venture here. And so with us going to the radio, hopefully next week, we're waiting again on an actual document that solidifies that. When we have that, we'll make the decision. But with that, and then obviously with Cotton Row Productions and us taking on new clients for the digital media and digital advertising, it just made a lot of sense for Emo to join us as our director of business development and come in and and it's not just Cotton Row Productions, it's Cotton Row Companies. And so we're excited to have him on board to just kind of guide and steer us in that development side, because for those of you that know me or have ever watched any of this show, you know that I'm just I'm the guy that just puts my head down and runs through the wall. Like, there's probably a way that you could, like, get over the wall. You could probably walk around it even without much effort. But I like to put my head down and just boogie on through. And so having someone to kind of harness that and take that, and it's not a bad thing. Anybody out there that your parents or your doctor's been telling you you're ADD or you can't focus or whatever, like, it's okay. You got to just channel that. You got to kind of focus that in. And so we're super excited to be able to go to local businesses all over North Alabama and provide a real platform for your business. I mean, on the heels of coronavirus and all of the decimation of businesses all over the country, some 40-something% of businesses won't reopen afterwards, right? And that's that stinks. But on the heels of that, like, finding the right platform and finding the right opportunity to share your message is going to be the difference in making it or not making it. Yep. And obviously, I want you guys to, and look, this is not me pounding my chest or don't take this as a humble brag or anything, but in all seriousness, like, look at this show. Today is the 55th show that we've done. And we started this as a response to coronavirus because, again, some of our lifelines were going to be pulled away from us in the retail being shut down and this and that. And it was like, well, what do we do? Well, people want content. The consumption of content is at an all-time high. So we need to jump in and give them something to talk about or to watch so we can talk. And, obviously for me, like, I don't know, nobody probably knows this, but I would come in here every afternoon and just talk to myself for an hour anyway. So I might as well put it on camera. No, I'm kidding. It only happened twice. But it's one of those things where literally 55 shows in and we're heading down a much larger path, and we've been given a much bigger platform with a much greater impact. And that was just, look, we're not that good at this. Like, we're just willing to do it. That's the key. And the key is, I don't give a rip what you think about whether or not this is, like, I've heard people, what do you think, he's going to go be a talk radio star? No, maybe. It sounds like haterade to me, but I know one thing. I know that I'm certainly not going to go give it the old college try. And if it doesn't work, I might have some freaking cool stories about that time I was on radio and got in a fight with little Jimmy John on the radio and because we're going to go in hard. We're going to go in hot and heavy and strong and just really make our mark. But at the end of the day, it's that willingness. It's like, just, hey, we'll figure it out.
It's opportunity.
What's the worst thing? What's the worst that can happen other than not sleeping very much because you have to be at the radio station at 4:30 in the morning?
Sleep is overrated.
You can sleep when you're rich.
That's right.
Or dead. Which one? I forgot which one was supposed to go in there, but they both apply. Yeah. So no, we're super pumped about that. But I don't know what I'd love to hear from anybody out there with some comments. Like, if you're in a business or your business is kind of like, what kind of marketing's working? What are you trying to do right now? Like, what kind of marketing efforts are underway? Because, I don't listen to the radio much. and I know this is probably shooting myself in the foot a hair, but I don't listen, but I podcast. And honestly, the podcast I listen to on a daily basis was a radio show on a daily basis. And now I listen to the archive. And I buy a lot of products from that show. It's my main information consumption. Those spots are worth real money because I've been listening to the same show for years now, right? And there's a trust and there's a relationship that's developed that it's whether it's tangible and real or it's just me thinking if I saw my favorite radio host, we'd be able to hug each other and high five when the reality is they'd probably, not know who I was. But there's a huge opportunity in that because of the relational piece.
You talked about, posing the question to the people out there about what are you doing for your business? This area to me has been exceptional because it is such a melting pot. People are from all over, and they bring their regional whatever with them when they come here. But I think what I've seen is people willing to adapt and pivot to what's happened the last 3 months here. And it's rough for the businesses that maybe aren't in that position to be able to do that so easily or quickly. But I've talked to so many people that have found creative ways to reinvent themselves or their business and to keep going. And they're going to pop out the other side of this, maybe completely different than where they were 6 months ago, but they're having a heck of a time doing it.
No, I mean, look, there's been nothing easy about this deal.
No.
And for anyone that said that it was an easy deal, like, I'd like to know your secret sauce for success because, I mean, unless you weren't really a small business, like small business to me is the type of business that if you don't have your weekly, you're like, I mean, once you get past that point, you're kind of getting out of that small business arena to me. Yeah. Like small business is your local shop that needs you to buy your whatever they're fill in the blank because, and not that there's a lack of preparation. I mean, we were prepared to withstand X amount of time or whatever. And so certainly I'm not saying that there isn't some planning and some fiscal responsibility that has to go with that. But certainly, like, there is a piece of this where it's like, if it wasn't a struggle, one, good on you. Like, it's awesome. And maybe for those of you that are out there looking to start a business, like maybe you should look at those businesses that didn't struggle because they're probably serving a client base that is essential, right? Like what did we all see? Like we saw what was deemed essential and what wasn't. Now, granted that, the fact that it was unconstitutional and borderline illegal has nothing to do with anything here. I mean, it's not like we live in a free country or anything at this point, but it did kind of show us where we might want to focus, and it certainly identified opportunity zones, and that's the cool part. And I'm not talking about opportunity zones in the real estate sense and the tax havens and this and that because those are great too, but opportunity zones in entrepreneurship. Like if I'm going to plant my business stake somewhere, like, man, I really know of some pretty solid places, and that's why we feel good about what we're doing. Certainly digital media, digital advertising. Like, what was the first place everybody went when they sit at home on their couch? The intranet. Like, you live there now. I mean, it's more important to have your digital yard sign, your digital branding far and away sharper and more attractive than what's I mean, because what are the odds I'm driving down Highway 72 at 60 miles an hour and I catch a sign, I'm like, man, that's a good looking sign. Like, probably not.
No, right.
But, and so it's just a different world,
Well, the internet had a captive audience, and I haven't seen the numbers, but it had to be through the roof. I know you hear reports from the different internet providers, and they really had to kick that up a notch to
keep up.
People were doing everything at home. People were trying to keep their businesses going. All the kids were home from school, so they were on multiple platforms in addition to your cell phone and all the rest of it. But you're right. Everybody was on there, and people were looking for whether it was information or news, and that was their source.
Yeah, it's definitely been it'll definitely be. How you feel about this whole new normal thing?
I hate that phrase.
Yeah, preposterous. Follow the science.
I'm okay with the old normal.
Well, never mind. Don't even let me get started. Connor, pull up some headlines. We're going to go headline surfing here in a minute. I like to put Connor on the spot. Connor, how do you feel about that?
You don't want to know.
Oh, no, I already do. I would say let David pick out some headlines over there, but that terrifies me because he's a freaking nut. Wait, we're gonna get Dave. We're gonna get old DD in here.
Get him in here.
Here soon, maybe this week before we go to the radio, because you really need to see his cackle to appreciate it. David doesn't laugh; he cackles, and it's the most contagious / preposterous thing that I've experienced in a long time, because it's like, I mean, it's enthralling is a word that I would use. How you like that word, DD? It's more than one syllable. So that's like +3 on the ACTs, which, by the way, I got, I filled my name in.
Mm-hmm. That gets you to 13.
It's like 12 or 13.
That's right.
Isn't
I thought
it?
so.
Yeah.
You double digits.
Only
so
needed 5 more points. No, actually, I did really well on my ACT. It's the only thing, my wife beat me. It's the only thing she's ever beat me in her life. But I got it's like a 20-something. It was a 20-something. It was up there. Yeah. I didn't spell my name wrong, so that was a good start. All right, Connor, let's go through, I was going to stay away from the headlines because it's a terrifying world to dive off into, but we started talking about the new normal, and I was like, well, let's see where we can go with this.
Well, there's there's not many coronavirus headlines now.
What? Wait a minute. Show me the science. Like, what? Are you serious? Oh, wait.
Yeah, there's a couple, but
But they're like, coronavirus disappears when rioters get right on top of one another and spend hours and hours and hours within a 3-inch bubble of one another. Got it. Coronavirus is over. We solved it. We fixed it. No vaccine necessary. Just violence. Next.
I don't know how political you want to get. This is
Lord. I mean, I'm all in. Whatever. I don't care.
All right, cool. There you go. How about that? St. Louis man charged with murder and fatal shooting of a retired police captain.
Well, he should have been. He should have been charged. He shot a man. All right. So this man, and I haven't read that exact story on it, but essentially, a black man, retired police officer, captain. Did that say police captain?
Yes, retired police.
Okay,
captain.
so he was a position of leadership within the police force. He was a black man in the community, and he was attempting to protect businesses. Now, what Connor, was it? The offender, was the offender African American or white?
They were both African American. Yes.
Okay, so my question is this, and again, we've all stood up and said, and me for sure, like, I want to understand racism in this country. I want to have a conversation I've grown up in the majority my entire life, okay? We've already established that. For those of you that haven't tuned in thus far, maybe this is your first time, I gave the illustration of, like, my pastor, he's left-handed, okay? And so he was talking about growing up in school, all the desks are right-handed, all the scissors, right-handed scissors, and left-handed people don't work. If you've ever tried to use off-handed scissors, you understand how much of a disaster that is. And so I say all that to say, like, I've grown up in the majority, okay? I'm acknowledging that and acknowledging that my experience is entirely different than that of someone who didn't grow up in the majority. But historically, more black men are shot and killed more white men are shot and killed by police officers than black men in this country. And that's just a stat. That's just, and I can get, in fact, I will, now that I've said it, someone's going to call me on it. I will pull the statistics to show you, because that conversation needs to be had. And so, again, you can put these things in different camps. We can say, yes, we have a race problem, and yes, systematically, black men and women have been disadvantaged, or whatever term you want to use. That conversation can absolutely be had and should be had. And you can also have the conversation about police brutality and how men of all races, creeds, colors, ages, whatever, and women have been profiled by, okay, profiling isn't just a color of skin thing, like, FYI. If you've got all your windows tinted out, you get profiled like you a trap star, okay? It just happens. Like, if you are in a big lifted truck and a big old fat dip in, you probably get profiled like you've been drinking the Coors Light in a field somewhere up the road. And it's got nothing, again, like, profiles happen, okay? And we talked about this last week. Like, I get profiled as a redneck, build that wall Trump guy all the time. Why? Because I'm white, I'm conservative, I'm a male, and I own a business. I'm an entrepreneurial white dude in the upper middle class or middle class, whatever you want to call it. So clearly I must be an immigrant hating, racist, race baiting, wall building, insurrection act invoking Trump kind of a guy. The reality is I think he's a buffoon. Now, the other options we had were terrible and are still terrible. And so he will still get my vote, because unless you put something up there that is, it's always a buffoon and a buffoon, right? Like I've never had a great option in politics. I've never been like, oh man, that's the best candidate I've ever seen in my life. It's always like, that is Satan and that's his brother. Which one do I hate less? Like that's the way politics works. That's just the way it is. Lesser of two evils all the time. But again, profiling, racism, all that stuff, like we need to have all these conversations. But why is the conversation about this police captain not being had? Well, because, do I need to say it? I don't think I do. And so the reality is, and again, I'm not going to be the guy that says all lives matter, but whatever. I understand the tone deafness and the poor, what's the right? Mama called it couth, right? That comes with white people like me that have lived in the majority as a retort to someone saying Black Lives Matter, then saying, well, all lives matter. Well, no joke. But also, all lives can't matter if Black lives don't. And so I completely 100% stand with that, okay? But, and this is where the big but is, it doesn't inherently make it racist. Like, because by that same token, those two black dudes that shot that black cop must have been racist toward black people because they shot a black dude. Like, we cannot use one measuring stick across the entirety of every situation and expect anything to come out but just garbage. Just garbage. Tyler Jones with a comment. Tyler Jones, as usual, coming in with something solid, sound, deep. Profiling is for dorks. Thank you, Tyler. We are all smarter for having heard your comment today. I'm just kidding, Tyler. I love you, man. Tyler owns a rail yard. You know Tyler. Yeah. So he was here on the show. When was that? Friday?
Yeah.
On Friday. So anyways, no, that's kind of how I feel about all that. What other headlines you got over there?
All right, you said you're going all in. I'm gonna throw it at you.
Oh gosh, we're gonna go to the Confederate flag. Emo's like, why did you put me on today? He said, I thought we were going to talk about something else.
I would like to know what my Marine friends think about that.
I'll tell you what they think about it. They probably think it's stupid. But let's talk about it. Let's take on all this Confederate stuff. And Emo's like, I think I need water. Water. He's looking over at Connor like, Connor, go to that shot of just him. Please don't have my face in here. But no, here's the deal. Like, you can't take Nazi Germany out of history books. You can't take bad things or things that represented bad things and completely whitewash them from history. That is not the appropriate way to deal with, because in order to avoid the past, you must learn from it. Mm-hmm. In order to move forward, you must be empowered and gain intelligence by looking at what's happened. Mm-hmm. So, is a Confederate flag inherently racist? I don't believe that it is, personally. That's my personal belief. Do I own one? No. Doesn't do anything for me. Don't care. However, for those of you that take the Confederate flag and the Nazi symbol and those are the same people that call Trump Adolf Hitler. Like, those are those same people that have absolutely no clue what they're talking about. Those are the same people that say that their church is persecuted. Those are the same people that say that they've experienced the same racism that Rosa and Dr. King, and those are the same idiots that have no concept of reality. Okay, they live in a construct of fairy tale land. Okay, that being said, if the military decides that they want you to not wear that, then by God, that's what you're going to do. In the same way that if the NFL tells you you're not going to kneel on the ground or you're going to not have a job, or in the same way that, because right now maybe all the military folks should start like taking a knee for the Confederate flag or something, because and guess what's going to happen? They're going to get booted right out of the military. And they should. Because, again, authority is granted We choose to abide by it. Okay? So, again, there's a Confederate, we talked about this earlier today. There's a Confederate monument here in Athens, okay? It's not racist. You know what it says? It says, remembering those who died, period. When we look back at the Afghanistan and Iraq war, I think we're going to look in a lot of ways. Look, and I signed up to join the Army in response to 9/11, right? So this is something very personal for me. But we're going to look back at this, and it started as a war over terrorism and became something entirely different very quickly, okay? We're not going to dive into were there weapons of mass destruction. Is it about the oil? Is it about, all we're going to say is that it very quickly turned into something maybe that with a little bit of a different, I don't know, catalyst. But we're never going to take down the monuments that are built to honor the men and women that died fighting this war. Why? Because they died fighting for their family, fighting for their fill in the blank. There's not a single person that went over to Afghanistan and Iraq and said, I'm fighting for crude oil prices. Like, that's just not reality. And so for all of you out there that take the Confederacy and immediately put right on top of that slavery and racism and all that, that's just not exactly, that's not real. That's not how it works. You cannot make that leap or that jump. And so, again, hear me saying, I understand the tone deafness of honestly, maybe the intent of those mental midgets that run around with those ginormous flags. They're the same one that have male genitalia hanging from the bottom of their truck. Like, it's those people. And so I understand how foolish they look and how crazy and ignorant it seems. But as far as the flag being inherently racist or anything like that, I just have a hard time with that. Now, again, I'm open to conversation on that anytime. I've learned things in the past 3 years that I would have told you 3 years ago. Nope, I'm dead set on this. I know this is how this is. I know this, I know that. And so God reveals things to me every day. And so I learn new things every day. But today, that's how I feel about it. Robert Rigsby with a comment. Connor, pull up some of the Minneapolis police defunding headlines, because Robert says, thoughts on cities defunding the police department. Welcome to Thunderdome. The purge has started. May the odds be ever in your favor? I don't know. Like, it's Hunger Games?
I don't.
What are we doing?
When something happens,
they're going to send a social worker.
Well, that's good. Yeah. Right. So if a guy's beating his wife, you're going to call
I'm sorry. Did you hear what I just said? Yeah. 490, there's a robbery in progress. We've got a masked male with a weapon. He's taking some liquor here from Johnny's on the corner. Hold on, social worker on the way. Hang tight. ETA, 33 minutes. She's in a Prius. Like, what in the world are we thinking? I mean, for the love of God, take their weapons away and give them a baton or something. Like, I mean, at least, but to defund, what? It's okay. It's already got like the second or third highest crime rate. Like, what? See if you can find some crime rate statistics on Minneapolis. It's got to be in the top 5. David, do you know? You're shaking your head. Do you know what? He was just agreeing with everything I said. I understand. I got you.
I would imagine if I lived in Minneapolis, I probably would be packing my bags right about now. If in fact that's what they want to do.
Yeah. No. The flight. I mean, I'm talking about you're not going to be able to get out of there fast enough.
Talk about real estate.
You couldn't give it to me.
If you've got a family and you have to take care of your kids and all the rest of it, you're not going to want to have them grow up in that type of environment. And if that's a decision that the local politicians are making, I know what I'd do. I'd vote with my feet.
I just don't. I wish I had someone who could come on here and explain to me even the thought process behind this. Like, I just seek to understand. Like, there's something about stupid people that just draws me to them, and I just want to understand them. You know what I'm saying? And so in this moment, I would love to have because there's no good explanation for this. Golly, what? Let's get comments from the peanut section over here. What do y'all think about defunding police departments as a response to what happened? Anybody over there got a comment? Are you serious right now?
Radio silence over here.
David, you think a cop-free world is a better world?
I think reform.
Yes, absolutely.
Is good, but not, deep. It's funny. A lot of people, like I say,
No, that's right.
It's not an all cops thing. It's a we need change.
Yes.
And it happens from finding kind of cleaning up.
Don't worry about it, Connor.
Place, like any business.
Yeah, no, that's and so David, our position on that is this is his first day here, and I just put him on the spot, and he's going to probably punch me after this is over. But like our position on this is very clear. Like there's a problem. Like when you put a badge and a gun on somebody, they become the king, right? In their mind, anyways. And it's not a black thing. Or now, don't get me wrong. Are there racist cops out there? Without question. And though they need to be shot. Or firing squad or something. I voted to bring the firing squad back. That was my vote personally, because I don't like racism either. But evil, like power, inherently corrupts people, right? It's a power thing, and so by giving cops the amount of unchecked power, like we've militarized our police in a way that's unprecedented. And honestly, it's been in a response as a response to. Right, violence or whatever else. So for that, like I understand maybe the steps that got us here, but at the same time, like you can't continue to go on with unchecked power and evil people doing evil things because, yeah, I mean, reform is great, but accountability is better. And we had the conversation last week, like. When you're in the Army or a Marine or whatever, and you pull the trigger and you send rounds downrange in Afghanistan or Iraq, you write multiple reports. And guess what? There have been good men with good shoots that, for no other reason than they were the wrong place at the right time, got booted out of the Army. And that you talk about ruining a career, ruining a life. So David, I'm with you 110%. It's not like defunding the police and taking police off the streets in any place, in my opinion. Like, even in countries where there's no weapons, they have police. Now, they walk around with, like, sticks. I don't know what they're going to do. Like, grab a butter knife. They're coming. Like, what are we going to do? But they at least have law and order. My question is, like, are we going to lose law and order in general in Minneapolis? Like, what's the response to this? Like, what do you think, Dave?
I think the main point and the main word is accountability.
Boom.
That's the thing about it. And also, I feel like a lot of sources recently in the media have allowed for confusion to be the main topic instead of saying, hey, let's hold people accountable. Because not only have innocent people been hurt during all of this chaos that stemmed from the George Floyd incident, and a lot of people think it's just that one, but it's not just that one.
That's right.
And so, like you said, accountability. It's like, and that's what I keep going back to. My grandparents are military vets. And I love them and I appreciate them, and I'm very, very proud of what they've done. And they've been held accountable in their careers.
That's right.
They've had to, their friends, their families, as you also. And so that's the thing. If these headlines all focused on accountability, there would be a different talk.
No,
and
absolutely.
What's been caused is the media. You catch a 30-second clip,
edited clip, no less. Yeah,
you compare all these clips, and they're kind of monetizing chaos at this point, and it's sad.
I want you to look at Davis right now. He's just sitting there like super in the middle, awkward. Like, what do I do with my face? What do I do with my face? What do I do with my eyes? What do I do with my hands? He probably has frostbite. I freeze these guys out. David has on a jacket, like a thing on his face. He said it was for the Rona, but the reality is it's for his cold. And Connor has like a fur jacket under that he's sitting on right now that he's just eyeballing it, looking at it longingly, ready to put it on. But no.
To have the AC freezing cold.
Well, that's because under these lights it's really flipping hot. Okay, and so until you walk a mile in my shoes, okay. Until you walk a mile in my shoes, DD, all right, I'd appreciate no judgment or profiling, okay? All right. No, that was a great point. That was exactly the perspective that you should take. And for young black men and women across this country, like, look at the example of and I've not known him but for a week, and just the willingness to have the conversation, the willingness to be like, there's not hatred in his heart. He doesn't care. I mean, he and I don't see color. Like, from day one, we've not talked about color. We've not talked about race. We've not talked about George Floyd, because we don't see it. Like, that's not the world we live in. We live in I love people, and I don't care. I mean, I've said it from day one. There is no such thing as race. There's the human race. That's the only race that exists. There's ethnicity, but there's one race. So racism in and of itself is just if we break that down to the purest form, it's sin, it's hate. Like, it's just hate. Because ethnicity is the only differentiator. There's only one race. And so racism in and of itself is hating your own kind. I hope you understand that. Like, that's the key for all of us to understand. For me to be white and to hate a black person is not to hate a race. It's to hate an ethnic group. And in hating that race, I'm hating my fellow man. Like, that's all I'm hating. And I just don't get that.
But Didi said it really well.
He did.
If you're especially watching cable news or whatever, they're given, let's face it, kind of inflammatory parts of the argument on both sides, probably for ratings, because that's clearly part of the reason. I've heard so many people say in the last few weeks, when enough already, somebody said just start turning everything off. Who do you deal with every day as you go around in your life? They're, like you said, they're probably pretty nice, normal people with all different kinds of backgrounds, but turn things off. All it seems to do is incite people.
Well, and ever since the "if it bleeds, it leads" era of news,
Right.
we've had no shot, right?
Nope.
I mean, honestly, if it bleeds, it leads. It's all about shock value and awe, and so no, that's exactly right. Well, look, it is almost 4:00, which means my time is almost. Well, my time's never really up. We go as long as we want. But what I'm saying is, yeah, I'm ready to go. Gonna head home, hang out with little man. What you got planned this afternoon, Emo? You're gonna go sit by the pool, sip a pina colada. I mean, what do you got going?
I'm going home to feed Luca.
Yeah, his little football playing monster, right?
Yeah, he is a monster.
I got him. I told you I'd get him sooner or later. I told you he cackles. You heard? Look at him over there, just chuckling. He's just bouncing up and down. No, look, it's been fun. We got a heck of a crew coming together over here, and it's a lot of fun. And obviously, we don't care that much. We just like to get in here and have a good time. So we're excited. We'll be headed, like I said, hopefully to the radio next week. In the meantime, guys, if you haven't listened to us on podcast, you should. Podcast, iTunes, Shopify, Spotify, wherever the Facebooks, the Tweetergram. You can get us anywhere, folks. So don't miss out on your favorite replay of your favorite bearded host and your favorite show, Hometown Heartbeat. Connor, take it away, man.